What's up, guys? Welcome back to Camp Aspinall. Get over here. Stay. Wow. Oh, no. Happy Saturday, my friends. We survived another amazing week. It was a crazy week around here. We had 2 tornadoes, a flood.
You could have been told that nothing's...
A trip to Detroit.
How long were we away?
Couple hours this morning.
Alright, what was going on in the U.S. today?
Had to pick up the microwave and the 2 cabinet doors from IKEA.
Hot water tank in the back. Water services were installed. We are checking levels. Look at this. Boy, screws people. Look at that. The sewer's done. The water inlet's done. So the white's the sewer line coming out from the building, and the blue is the water going into the building. So the white, water sprayed everywhere. When it rains, it pours, and that literally and metaphorically happened this week. Welcome back to another exciting episode. Let's get us all caught up on all the things that have happened around here. The wastewater and the water inlet lines were dug and installed this week after 4 months of waiting around. Holy, here it is. There it is. Look at that, it's connected, fam. It's done. Excuse me, don't mind if I do. Funny, it only took them 72 hours to get it done. Now the yard looks like we have a moat around the building because all the land has settled. We're here today to look at the plumbing job that needs to get done. We have to get this hot water tank installed, but what's been on my mind that I can't seem to shake is where the sewer connection is. This yard is 100 feet wide, and building this garage project, the idea behind building this garage project was to build something similar next door. Blessing in disguise, we found out the service connections were already underground. So the sewer T and the water in the T were already installed on the lot. So that meant we were gonna save some money. Didn't quite know the location of those services. So, the sewer in the middle of the property, I don't know where it falls. I wanted to split this property into a 50-foot yard and a 50-foot yard so that sometime down the road, if we ever decided to sell, there are 2 separate parcels of land. But the sewer connection looks like it's right in the middle of the property, so we're here to measure that stuff today. I'm rambling. Let's get on with the video. Look at this thing. Go big or go home, eh? Build a tiny house and get the biggest hot water tank on the planet. 48-gallon electric, gonna go right there. The reason it's not currently installed, even though the plumber was out looking at the lines, we have to get a water meter. That's the next step from the services of the town that provides the water meter to get installed there on the inside of the hot water tank, which is then going to feed all these other lines that feeds all these other services. If you missed our last video, we crossed into Detroit. We had to go to IKEA, and here's the situation. There's an IKEA 1 hour across into Michigan or almost 4 hours north of Toronto. We bit the bullet, went to Detroit, finally got the microwave that's supposed to fit right there. I don't know where it is. It's around here somewhere. It's over here, right? Nope, yep, I think it's in the bottom box. And finally got the 2 cabinet faceplates. I think they're right here to go up there. Yeah, plumber has been. This looks like, yep, look, hot and cold shutoff that would connect to your water meter before you get to the hot water tank. So everything is ready to go, but there's no hot water. Sorry, everything's ready to go, but there's no water meter. So that's currently the holdup. Looking at some of these spots I was touching up a couple of videos ago, I don't even have to do that anymore. We're stopping that right there. We had a painter come give us a quote to spray the ceiling of our own cabin upstairs and to paint this entire interior. Price was right, 2-week turnaround. Painter said, don't even worry about the little nicks. I will take care of it all. That feels like such a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. The pressure has been building. It just seems to be about 32 open loops at any given time, and so many moving parts and not enough hours in the day. But we're not complaining. We chose this journey. We are excited to be here. It's all a learning curve, and that makes me excited every single day, and that's why I love turning on this camera all the time. Yeah, so water will come in here, hot comes out here, cold comes out here. This is the drain maintenance thing, basic electrical, piece of cake for a plumber, not for me. Okay, I want to go outside, show you the valleys, and let's measure this sewer line. Brr, it's a cold one this morning. Yeah, look at this, caved right in, right? One little rain. Same thing here. Look at how far down. That was a mound, remember? Ooh, now it's concave. Let's go look over here. So the wastewater line comes to this big, tall, white doodad. This is the sewer line, the sanitary sewer line. Now the water inlet line, it actually goes to the corner of this parcel of land. Way over here. See this mound? Here it is right here. So here's the shutoff for the water services running and then around to the outside. The situation is, the idea behind this project was to do it again right next door because this is 100 feet by 100 feet. However, seems to be right in the middle of this property, and that connection might have to move at some point down the road. So I'm losing sleep over this because it's like, do you do it now? Do you just move it now? I mean, they were just here and gone. Here's the thing. If we want to build two properties and sever this down the road, the location of this sanitary sewer line, I think, is a problem. All right, well, use this flag. I need to mark this. What's this tape measure? I'm gonna go to the side here, property line. It's right about here. Right about here. Give or take. I just need a ballpark today. I just need to know if we're close to the 50-foot mark. All right, there's 25 right there. 25 right there from the property line. And oh, yes, yes, that's 50 feet. No way. Let me put a rock. I gotta jam a rock into this tape measure. No, don't retract because it's broken. Stay. Well, there's 50 feet right there. Right there. Can you even believe that? Okay, that's a ballpark, but 50 feet puts the midpoint of the yard almost halfway between the sewer and that building. That means down the road, this sewer connection and this water inlet can feed this building, and we'll just have to put in new connections over here to feed this building and this property. Because the midpoint, like I said, if we were to split this in 50-50, 50-foot yard, 50-foot yard, it's right there. That's safe, and that's safe on that side. That excites me. That excites me greatly. So the situation is, you're allowed to have two livable spaces on one municipal lot in this municipality. So in this one parcel of land, we're allowed to build these two dwellings. This one right here, and the one next door. Now, we were talking about severing this into two parcels of land. We don't know if we should have done that before we begin the second build or after we begin the second build, or if it even matters. When I found the sewer line somewhere in the midpoint, that became a headache. But knowing now that it's somewhere at the 47-foot mark, we could also sever 60-40. But just knowing 50-50 puts it here, and these two connections are on this side of the yard, and anyway, food for thought down the road. That's great news. But for now, and I'll regret it later, you stay, you feed this building, until this building gets cash flowing. I mean, we can start building this project right here, and then in a 6 months to a year's time, when it needs to be plumbed, we'll look at moving these services. But then this building will be rented by then too. I don't know. Processing out loud. When we took possession of this old garage, I think it was spring of 2023, we had plans to turn one parcel of land with one tear-down garage into two separate rental income properties to help cash flow the businesses. We found a blueprint from 1987 that showed service connections were already at the street, and that got us really excited because it meant we were going to save a pile of money. Those blueprints said the connections were on the far right side of this property. But when the crew was out this week digging and looking for locates and whatever they do, they found the sewer connection smack dab in the middle of the yard. Now, they also found a foundation or debris from a foundation when they were digging, because it's clear there was a house next door, and this building was the garage that belonged to that house. I've lived on these beaches my entire life. I don't recall a house ever being here. I can't find one on Google Street View. None of the neighbors recall a house being here. Maybe one caught fire, maybe it burnt down. There was one at some point in time, and based on what I just measured, the water inlet and the sanitary sewer line are both on that side of the property. When these lots were all originally sold a long time ago, they were in either 40 or 50 foot increments. So this parcel of land being 100 feet was either two 50-foot lots or 2.5 at, is my math right, at 40 feet. Anyway, whoever built it, put this garage on it, put their house next door, had the services installed on that side of the yard. That means I either move these connections now so they feed this garage and we use the existing connections on the next build, or we just leave this status quo right now, get this building cash flowing, start building the one next door, worry about moving plumbing services in the future. My concern was the sewer was on one half of the yard and the water inlet was on the other, but I guess in hindsight that wouldn't have mattered anyway. It just would have meant adding a water inlet here and a sewer here. Anyway, it's been bugging me. I've been losing sleep over it, and now we know. And if you've been around here for a minute, a part of this journey was also to show that without much income and a ton of sweat equity and a little bit of know-how, we could turn a $150,000 plot of land with a tear-down garage into a double income rental property without borrowing money from a traditional bank. If that's the kind of content you're into, go ahead and hit that like button. Well, it doesn't look like any of the plumbing was done in here. I mean, this is plumbed like in the wall, but we don't even have a shower head on there yet. Turn some lights on. Toilet still has to go in. Obviously, the sink has to go in. Here are two of the water lines that were feed over there, and they continue back here. We have all of this. We have it in this pile. Microwave, hardware for more kitchen stuff. There's the sink right there. Nothing new to report upstairs, but for some of you who might be new, I'll give you a quick tour. Downstairs was the original footprint of the garage. We added 4 feet at the back. We cut the roof off right here and built a massive 300 square foot. Well, it is massive. I mean, your average bedroom is 100 by 100, and up here we're the whole building, which is 22 feet by 22 feet. So footprint of 400 square feet upstairs, minus the space for the knee walls, but that's a pretty wicked, awesome size to throw your little dance party at the cabin at the lake. What do you think? Not too shabby for a giant upstairs primary loft, plus office, plus reading nook, plus. It's a giant space. I'd live here. In fact, between the two, Steph and I have been joking, we really love this one a lot better than the one we live in. The only reason we're staying where we are is because it's on the water. We have the dock, we have the boat lifts, and this property is a stone's throw from the water. So anyway, we use the outdoor space more than we use the indoor space. We'll stay in the smaller of the two, rent out the bigger one. We still have to get stackable laundry. It's going to go here. This is where the water lines currently end. They feed from in there through the floor, over to there, over to here. Once the laundry gets installed, these connections are going to continue behind here, fridge, dishwasher, more plumbing here, including a hose that goes outside. So here's for the taps, here's to go outside, here's the wastewater, and again, dishwasher. We're running these lines on the inside of the wall. In case you're wondering, they're not in the wall, they're on the inside of the wall. This is a garage. We sit on a slab floor. It's a cold floor in the winter. The heat source is on the other side of the room, way up there. We don't have force there. So to prevent freezing, we're going to finish running the water lines there. They're on the inside of the wall behind the appliances, behind the stackable, behind the fridge, behind the dishwasher, in the cabinet. So you're not going to see the lines, but they're never going to freeze. All right, one final check here on the water. Oh yeah, little bit of a water stain. These haven't been painted yet. The water here was on the floor for all of 5 minutes. What happened was boys were testing the water lines from the road. They didn't know this wasn't connected. The cabin was locked. Nobody was here. They turned the water on at the street and this went all over the floor. That's okay. This is waterproof. This is a waterproof vinyl floor. It sits on concrete. But again, those are water stains. They haven't been painted yet. However, it's just a shame to see that, right? Like 2 steps forward and 18 steps backwards. But it's dry today. We'll get it painted. It won't happen again. It was just that one-shot deal. We've been trying to manage this project on our own. Pros and cons is there's so many people and so many moving parts. Communication is, we get a call from the contractor that says, where's the water meter? And then the plumber says, I'm picking up the water meter. And then we call the town and they're like, you can't get a water meter. And yeah, we're learning a ton, but boys connecting the services didn't know nothing was connected on the inside. Their job is to make sure those services don't leak from the street. They connect it, they turn the T on, they peek in through the windows because nobody's here, and they see water spraying everywhere, and then we get a phone call that says, we're testing the water lines, can you get out here? And there's water all over the place. Well, let's talk about what has to happen next. Water meter is going to get installed. You're currently sitting on the hot water tank. That's going to get installed. Those lines are going to feed into the toilet, the sink. The 2 sinks have to get drained. The taps have to get connected. The laundry has to get connected. We are going to provide a dishwasher, I think, because it's built in. We're going to talk to tenants about fridges and stoves and what kind of appliances they want. But stackable and stackable washer, dryer, and dishwasher, I don't know. They're built in, so that is probably something we're going to take care of. Water meter has to get installed. Hot water tank has to go in. We have to set up an account, a water account with the town. After we get the water meter, of course, turned on, man, you could use a drop of water out here and you pay for it with those wastewater charges because of where we are located. But that's it. The services are done. We get to close out those permits. Pater comes in a few weeks. After that, we just start staging it. Like, we're at the end. We're at the finish line. I can't even believe it. If you're still here, know that we appreciate you greatly. If you'd like to support us or support the channel, there's a link down below. Feel free to buy us a coffee. I think there's a thanks button down below. That's a new feature I don't know anything about because I'm kind of new to that whole world. But thank you. We appreciate you. Your watch time also supports this channel. The longer you watch, the more kickbacks we get from the YouTube, and the more we can invest in these tiny little projects and kind of keep this journey going. Remember, we both quit our jobs as classroom teachers. That meant removing pay stubs from the equation, which means borrowing money from a traditional lender is next to impossible. So we're on this journey by ourselves. Sweat equity. If you want to buy some merch, go ahead and do that too. As always, peace and love from Canada's most southern mainland shoreline. Give somebody close to you a hug. Tell them they matter. Don't forget you matter. Catch y'all on the next one. Guys, one super important thing I totally forgot. When you sever this, these buildings have to be 4 feet from the property line. So I don't know if anything I said in this video makes any sense. The next building will, wherever the property line is, when we sever, the next building has to be 4 feet that way from it, and I measured 50 in there, and I'm not sure this garage is 4 feet from that, but future steps problem. See you on the next one.